How's it going, everybody? Peter here. It is currently 10:30 p.m. on a Monday night, so I thought, what better to do than to make a video showing you how to port some intake manifolds. This is going to be specifically for the 11 to 14 V6 Mustangs. It might be similar for other cars, but I can't guarantee that. So it's going to be for the 3.7 cars. I'll show you the tools you're going to need, and I'm going to give you a basic demonstration of what to do. Okay guys, so let's take a look at some of the tools you're going to need. Number one, you will need some sort of rotating tool. So a Dremel with an attachment like this is going to be your best bet. Now, I've seen some people do porting work with a drill and an attachment like this, but honestly, this is just so heavy and clunky. Just make your life easier. Get a tool like this. It's super light, super easy to use, and your hand's not going to get tired when you're cutting away at material. So that's as far as the main cutting tool. But when it comes to bits, you're going to want something that looks like either one of these two. I've used both of these and they're fantastic. You can get them at any hardware store. So the next thing, you're going to need another cutting tool, a more aggressive cutting tool, if you will. Now, you're definitely not going to use something like this in these ports, but you're going to want to use something like this to get rid of the material where the throttle body is, because if you go ahead and take your Dremel bit to cut away at this, you're going to be here forever. So that's why it's good to just have one of these, get rid of the bulk, and then after, when you're all done, clean it up with this. Also, I have the vise here on this workbench. I have the lower manifold mounted on there, not too tight, but just enough to hold it in place so that it's much easier to work with. And last but certainly not least, get some eye protection and get some ear protection, because this thing, not only can plastic come flying in your face, but it's also pretty loud too. So safety glasses, earplugs. If you have all these tools, you're pretty much good to go. And one more thing before we get started, before you get working on these, give them a good clean. These aren't too bad, but a lot of the times there's carbon buildup and oil buildup, so just clean them really well before you start working on them. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to go. I have the Dremel ready with the extension. And again, this is super lightweight, really easy to use, so please get one of these before you do any porting work. I have the Dremel attached here. I got the manifold hooked up to the vise. Basically, we're going to start off on this port here. I've gone ahead and I've started a little bit, but basically what you want to do is you want to remove material until you have about 2 millimeters left all around here. You don't want to go ahead, you don't want to get rid of this here. You still want to maintain that circle. You want to maintain the basic shape. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and port that, and I'll show you what the final result will look like. Okay, so let's take a look at the final result. So we got before, after. So like I said before, you want to go for about 1 to 2 millimeters on the side. I actually went ahead with 180 grit sandpaper just to smoothen out the edges, and I'm actually going to go with 240 and then 320 after. That's a little bit overkill. You can realistically, you can just go with 180 and you would be more than okay, but if you want to go that extra mile, probably finish it at about 320. So that one port took me about 10 to 15 minutes to do, so that'll give you an idea of how long this job's going to take you. So we've done the one port for the bottom, for the lower manifold. Now we're going to go ahead and do the top. Alright guys, so this is coming along very nicely. So here's the two ports, before, after. Again, we've left about 1 to 2 millimeters on the side, and we've gone with 180 grit sandpaper, just sanded off those edges a little bit. So that's how you do these ones. Now for the big boy right here. This is where we're going to use our cutting tool, or this belt sander, I don't know what you call it. We're going to use one of these. We're going to get rid of the bulk of the material, and then we're going to go with the Dremel attachment and clean it up. Alright, so let's get to it. One thing I failed to mention, make sure you're doing this in your garage or your backyard. Don't do this in your kitchen or something like that, because it makes a huge mess. But anyway, let's take a look at the throttle body. So like I explained to you before, I got rid of the fins using this tool, and it just worked wonders. It was awesome. And then after that, after I got rid of the fins, I cleaned it up with the Dremel attachment. And again, this only took me 15-20 minutes. Not that long. And I still got to clean it up a little bit more on the edges, but we're pretty much done here. And other than that, it's pretty easy. Yeah, so I went about 2 inches deep. So that's it. So we've covered the lower manifold, we've covered the upper on these ports, we've covered the throttle body. One last thing I want to show you is port matching. So let me just explain that to you very quick. So basically what we have to do, we have to make sure that where the upper manifold and the lower manifold meet, those two contact points, the holes have to be the same size. I'm going to show you how to do that. And that's also another good reason why it's good to have one of these extensions, because if you're doing this with a big clunky drill, that's a lot harder than just using one of these. So that's basically all you have to do. Just sand here, or grind rather. Grind a little bit, check it, grind, check, and just make sure that that contact point where those manifolds meet is completely uniform. Alright guys, so it's getting late. I gotta work tomorrow, so I'm gonna wrap up this video. But if you made it to the end, thank you for watching. I do really appreciate it. So let's do a quick recap. Number one, make sure you have a good Dremel and make sure you have one of these attachments. It'll make your life so much easier. Number two, make sure that you have the correct bit, so something that looks like this. Number three, make sure that you're doing this in your garage or your backyard, not your kitchen, not your living room, because your wife or your girlfriend will get really mad. Number four, when you're doing the edges of the ports, leave about 1 to 2 millimeters. Don't break that edge, because if you do, you're pretty much screwed. Yeah, so about 1 to 2 millimeters. And that's pretty much it, guys. So again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you are looking for more content like this, I'm going to be posting probably about once a week, once every 2 weeks. But I'm going to try to go for once a week. So thanks again for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please comment, and see you next time.